They made all their money on direct mail. Well, in a 24 to 36 month period, they all swung from direct mail to Google Ads.
I have a legend for you guys today. Kasim Aslam is here, and a lot of you guys know him already. But for those of you guys who don't, he is the founder of Solutions 8, which is a $100 million plus ad spend Google agency. He's also the author of the book, You versus Google. We're going to actually probably talk about that first. Some of you guys have seen him spoken all around the world, and also host of the Perpetual Traffic podcast, which if you're not listening to, you should already. And we're going to be talking all things Google Ads and winning at it. So first of all, thank you for being here, my brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you.
The obligatory thank yous are out of the way. So let's talk real stuff. We were just talking briefly for a second here off air. And for most of the folks who are doing this, you're the only one I've really heard talking about this, is that we all get those messages from the Google rep and they say, hey, I got an idea for you. And as you kind of mentioned, they are not your friend. I would love for you to just kind of elaborate on this, what their goals are, and kind of what your experience has been with that.
Yeah, so spot check what I'm about to say, by the way. Test this, because I'd be interested if anybody finds an alternative experience. But all they're going to do is tell you to enable auto apply recommendations, maximize conversions, use smart bidding, basically scale your spend. And what most people don't know is the majority of the lower tier Google reps don't even work for Google. They work for subcontracted agencies that train these employees, and they have very specific KPIs. And those KPIs are to get you to spend more money. Now, if you're spending enough money, you could get an employee at a Mountain View. And those people really know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But just because somebody has an @google.com email address doesn't mean that they're from Google. And it definitely doesn't mean they have your best interest at heart. What I will say is it can be worth it to cultivate a relationship with some of them, because they've got buttons we don't have. So for instance, if you wanted to add negative keywords to your Performance Max campaigns at a point, you had to have a Google rep to do that. So there's a reason to establish and cultivate those relationships, but don't listen to anything they say as gospel. None of them run Google ad campaigns. I don't know what they're doing. They're just reading from a script they've been handed.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just be real careful with those folks.
Yeah, and if you guys have never actually worked with or been part of in some way call centers, the turnover is crazy high. Often these people just started 3 days ago, they got a script, they know far less about Google ads than you do, and then they're just trying to upsell you because it says so on the script that this is what will help you. And so there's if you blindly trust these people because they have that @Google email, you're going to be in probably usually for a world of hurt when you get the old bill from Visa and MasterCard and Amex or whatever you're using.
Dude, I swear 20% of our leads are people who are like, Google blew up my campaign, it was working fine. And then I listen to what they said, and it's sad to see, it's like a snake eating its own tail.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, one of the things I heard you talk about somewhere else was the idea that their game is to maximize the value of their inventory. They're not trying to, they're trying to get the most number of people competing for that space, which is different than your goal, which is to acquire customers profitably, most likely do that consistently, get the right people through the door. And so a lot of times it's their goals are completely different than whatever yours is.
Yeah, so you picture any organic ecosystem, and you'd end up having a Pareto distribution, which means 20% of the advertisers would experience 80% of the results. That's going to put Google at a massive disadvantage, though, because it inhibits their ability to maximize the value of their own inventory. So if you think of an auction, imagine an auction where the auctioneer is, first of all, the one who profits, because generally speaking, the auctioneer is supposed to be an independent third party. So automatically, we already have this weird, incestuous, breach of etiquette. Auctioneer is the one who profits. The auctioneer knows all of the inventory that's available, everybody willing to bid on their inventory, what everybody's willing to pay, and now what you make. So it's the ultimate system for price fixing. And this is a really fun mental exercise. You can't convince me otherwise that would have to be how the system is built. You'd have to be so intentional about setting up so many safeguards to keep that from happening that there's just no way a for-profit entity could possibly build an algorithmic machine learning driven mechanism that did anything other than make sure it got the maximum amount of money from every advertiser and with the least output, right? With the least amount of inventory delivered. And so it's an ongoing, constant, nonstop race to the bottom, and we're all complicit. And we're all just, running back to the power seat and we're like, please, sir, give me more.
Right. Well said, my friend. I want to get your thoughts a little bit on some Performance Max stuff, but let's come back to that after. One of the things I think that is awesome that you get to see is like a bird's eye view across like many, many accounts of what's working. And I would love to hear, since you kind of like dropped a little Pareto on us and some 80-20, is what are you seeing as the 80-20 across industries, across niches, across like, everything? Like, what are the common factors among your most successful accounts of people who are like basically using the Google system to win?
Everything's swinging back to traditional campaigns, which is funny because we were, hopefully you don't mind me saying this, we were the Performance Max agency. Like, we've cracked Performance Max before anybody else. We taught Performance Max before anybody else. And everyone assumes that we're just like drinking that Kool-Aid. And when we began with Performance Max, it really was maybe one of the most miraculous things I've ever seen from a marketing perspective.
Yeah. But
what ended up happening is what I term as self-imposed inflation. You had the entire market at one point, we reached critical mass, and it shifted. And the analogy that I like to offer, I used to have an agency that served real estate investors. And real estate investors, for the longest time, these are the sell your house fast for cash people.
Yeah. I'm one of them.
They made all their bones on direct mail. Like, direct mail was 60, 70, 80, 90% of some of these guys' income. Direct mail, just like carpet bombing, whatever it was, the yellow letters, the postcards, they had lumpy mail, all these. I mean, it really brought it down to a science. They made all their money on direct mail. Well, in a 24 to 36 month period, they all swung from direct mail to Google Ads. And I was there the entire time. We were early, and then we were when it got saturated. Here's what's really funny is I started talking to I sold that agency in 2019. But as we were on our way out, I was talking to some of my clients about what was working for them. And they're like, we're going back to direct mail. Nobody else is sending letters anymore. And that's how I feel about Performance Max. Everybody went straight to Performance Max. Performance Max gives Google the opportunity to dictate your placements. And Google wants to sell its cheapest, least, what would you say? Demanded inventory, which is all display based. And so Google's selling you the inventory it wants to sell, not necessarily the inventory that you want to buy. And so where Performance Max, when it was blue ocean, was unbelievable, now we're seeing a ton of performance in building out standard campaigns. Still use Performance Max, but build standard campaigns along the periphery. And you kind of guide Performance Max in a way, kind of guide it out of doing just what Google wants to do and into what works for you. And so like for ecom, man, we're building so many standard shopping campaigns. It's not funny. And then dynamic remarketing campaigns alongside it. And then, DSA campaigns alongside those. And for lead generation, Performance Max is a nightmare because Google has a spam traffic problem that they refuse to acknowledge. And somebody go test this right now today. If you run a lead gen campaign, especially on a low barrier to entry offer, like a form fill, you get all these leads that look phenomenal. They're not real. If you call people, they don't remember filling out the form, or they swear they never did, or they're not even, real phone numbers. They look real. It's like first name dot last name at gmail.com, real phone number, real email. You're thinking, oh, I just made it rain. And none of them qualify. And products like ClickCease and the rest of those don't work. They're able to hurdle those with relative ease. And so, I read this, I think it was NYU. There was a university that did a study on spam traffic, and they found that 60 to 70% of the traffic you experience to a website is spam. Yeah. And I'm getting that data point mildly wrong, but the gist is absolutely right. Like
100%.
Google has this unbelievable spam traffic problem, and they've probably had it for decades. And we're only now seeing it because they opened up the tap to display-based ads in a way that most advertisers never had access to. And I mean, if you look at it from that perspective, it's the biggest antitrust suit that we'll see in our lifetime, because Google just spent the last 15 years selling everybody horseshit traffic, and we're just now realizing it.
Hey guys, if you like this video, you'll also like my book on Amazon called Beyond the Agency Box, which you can also find by my name, Frankie Finn, and it's got a lot of awesome reviews. And it really just goes deeper on a lot of things we're talking about, everything you need to grow and start a lifestyle agency, from the stages you'll go through to getting clients, to how to create winning offers, to high value deliverables, to wowing clients, to building teams, to building systems, and building a boring factory that's like a 7-figure money machine for you. So if you're interested, I put links for you in the video description, as well as it'll be in the pinned top comment below, and make sure to check those out.